You're the sort of person who's tired of being conned into thinking that there's quick tricks or tips or little habits that you can change in order to get success. And you're actually looking for the real answer. You're not a lazy person. You're someone who actually takes action and you're looking for the real blueprint to actually have a change in your life. Then this page is for you. I've got a newsletter called The Next Chapter where we go deep into identity change. We're not just changing the way you think, but the way you behave, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, your outlook on the world. This is about actually going inside internally and changing that first in order to see the results you want externally. Click the link in the bio if you're serious about real change, and we're going to get into this video. Thanks guys, let's go. I'm here to tell you guys that every single time that you fail to set a boundary on your time, your access, the people who are able to reach you, you are not only disrespecting yourself, but you're actually inviting other people to disrespect you as well. I'm here to tell you that this is nothing to do with everyone else in the world being evil, any relationships you've seen that have gone down the drain, people you used to be close with who no longer speak to you. This is nothing to do with betrayal. This is to do with a lack of boundaries. And for a lot of these cases, if you guys had actually fixed the cause rather than just fixing the symptoms, then you would have never got into a friendship relationship with the sort of people who end up betraying you in the first place. Betrayal is a really touchy subject because we've all felt some kind of betrayal. Some people's betrayal has been a lot more severe than ours, for example. But either way, we've experienced it. We know what it's like to give something our all, give someone our all, and that thing doesn't seem to reciprocate the effort that we're putting in. It's something that burns us, it's something that hurts, and it's something that leaves a bitter taste in our mouth. And if we're not careful, we end up carrying that energy into the next relationships we go into. Whether these are relationships such as monogamous relationships between a man or a woman or whatever your preference is, or whether this is things like friendships, family members who we sort of started off on good grounds but sort of built a toxic relationship over a period of time. Now, I'm here to tell you guys that if you can actually fix the cause, which is you've got people-pleasing tendencies, you fail to actually set a good boundary, then what will happen is the relationships that come into your life now, moving forward, are going to be a lot better, a lot healthier. You're going to have people that you truly appreciate and people who truly appreciate you, not just your time, but who you are as a person, and they're always going to be excited to see you. If your life has resembled the sort of friendships, relationships, and sort of, whether it's business or personal, where you see people are always taking advantage of you, then this video is for you. I'm going to be giving you multiple examples, and if any of these are relatable to you, I would actually argue that you need this video just as much as I need this video. So make sure to watch the whole thing, and I'm going to be telling you guys what you can do moving forward to stop these sort of things happening. When I was younger, I used to believe that men and women couldn't really be friends. In sort of my late teens to early 20s, you start being interested in females, and there's this big argument online about can men and women truly be friends? If you've got a significant other and she has a group of male friends, are they really her friends, or are they just people who are waiting for an opportunity to, And for me personally, as a guy, you're lying if you haven't been that friend who would take up the opportunity of, being with that female friend of yours, etc. I've definitely had instances like this earlier on in my life. I think it's just human nature for us males. It's something in our biology. If we only need the physical look to be attractive as a guy in order for us to be able to go there, while women need a lot more than us. And I think before getting into those sort of friendships, it's very important to understand this. If you're not coming from a place of abundance, then you're naturally going to, want to escalate that friendship into something than it is already, whether you're on the male side or the female side. This can happen vice versa. Now, I start this because this is the first example I'm going to use of lacking a boundary. It might not have been with a friend of yours. It might have been in a relationship where you guys are able to relate to this. But have you ever had it where you have that one friend or that one significant other in a relationship that you're with who's always emotionally dumping on you? Anytime there's an issue, they pick up the phone, they ring you. You pick up and they begin to tell you all their problems. They haven't checked up on how you've been. They haven't checked up on, what's going on with your life. In fact, they have no clue what you're going through. And even if they did know what's going through, they're so focused on their own problems, they wouldn't even be sat down being somebody who's a good listener for you. But here you are, sat down, listening to them on the phone, in person, meeting them up, and trying to help them with whatever they're going through emotionally. And you rationalize it. You tell yourself you're doing this because you're a good person and you want to just be a good friend. But at a certain point in that friendship or relationship, you begin to realize that this is just a one-take relationship. It's a very transactional one where they're getting all of your energy and your time and you're actually not getting anything from this. My first experience of this was the friend zone. When I first discovered the friend zone, of course, my entire philosophy on how men and women relationships work was completely flawed. I simply thought that if you're there for her every single time, that naturally she's going to catch the feelings. And over a period of shared history, spending time with her, listening to her, talking to her, she's going to naturally catch feelings. Well, my click to reality happened at 17. Some of you guys haven't gone through that reality yet. You might be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, some of you 50s or 60s. Or some of you have gone through it and you're still in the same cycle, right? But this was my first experience going through something like this, where essentially I had somebody who you have feelings for, you want the relationship to progress, but essentially every single time that they speak to you, they're just telling you about their life and their problems. And you're thinking that you're building equity in the relationship by sort of listening to them, but you're not. They just see you as somebody that when something's going wrong, they just need someone to speak to. Nobody else is picking up the call, but hey, Tino's always going to be there. So they pick up the phone to you and they call you. I'm sure if these people are watching, they're probably thinking, wow, Tino, you had a part to play with it. And I will get to that. I could have had a part to play with this. That's the whole point of this video. But really and truly, all of us have potentially gone through this, where we've got somebody who just emotionally wants to tell us their whole life. And every single time, whether we're in a good mood or a bad mood, if we listen to their problems, we typically find that our energy tends to go down. Some of you listening to this example, you're thinking, oh, maybe I've been that person. I ask you for each example I give to challenge yourself. Have you been this person? The person who just calls somebody and you never actually take the time to consider that person's life circumstances. And this person that emotionally dumps on us, when we don't pick up the phone or we don't reach to them, they take it personal, they get offended. What's going on? Oh, you've stopped speaking to me. Now you're getting gaslit. Now you're feeling guilty and now you're picking up more often because it's making you feel like a bad person, when really it wasn't nothing to do with you being a bad person. What you got to understand is if you guys have ever been driving in traffic, right? And you approach a junction where somebody's trying to cut in the line in front of you. If you give them so much as a little leeway, that person will take the opportunity and cut in front of you. It's human nature. When you lack a boundary and you don't put your foot down, essentially, people are going to take opportunities to basically use and abuse you. Now, if you've been this person, I want you to ask yourself, is this something that I need to fix? If you're somebody that's constantly calling people, you're emotionally dumping on them, and you're never the sort of person that actually, calls people up out of genuine empathy. When's the last time you called a friend, a family member, and you just said, I just want to check up on you. Nothing to do with me, nothing to do with my problems, just so that I can check on your well-being. This is something we need to start building again, because as long as we live in this world where we're all self-interested, then nothing's going to progress. Now, if you're on the other side of the spectrum and you're the person that's had this happen to you over and over again, you need to start looking at your boundaries. You need to stop giving people so much access to your time. What you've got to learn about people is people don't appreciate that they always have access to. They appreciate the things that are unfamiliar. This is why if you're living in a certain city or town, there's probably, sort of attractions near you, museums, things like that. But why is it when we go on holiday to a place we've never been that we start doing all these activities that we could also do in our local town or city? It's because it's unfamiliar. And when you start looking at it for human nature, you stop taking it so personal. But that's just one of many examples. But I want you to think of that one. If that one applies to you, you're in the right place. But there's more examples. Have you ever had the friend or the person you're in a relationship with of some sort, whether it's business, personal, romantic, and this person always seems to do little petty things to spite you? Might be an insult every here and now. It's in front of people, they say something that you told them in discretion and they put it out there. Now people are laughing at you. When you go to address them, to tell them, hey, I didn't like that disrespect that you did, rather than them apologizing, they gaslight you. Oh no, you're taking it too personal. Come on, man, stop being soft. A lot of us have had these kind of friends or relationships in our lives. What is that? Once again, have you been the sort of person to do this? Where are you making people feel uncomfortable? Are you able to read a room? Are you able to see when you're putting your friend in an uncomfortable situation? See, me, I've sort of grown up with friends where during my school days, we would constantly make jokes at each other all the time. This is our way of bonding, in fact. As a lot of guys, what we do is we throw digs at each other. And because my psychology and the way I think is, okay, this is a way in which us men, we bond together, I would sometimes carry those traits into male and female friendships with my female friends. And they're not from that world. They don't live in that ecosystem. So when I did that, looking back at it now, there was some discomfort. Maybe they took me as if I'm trying to embarrass them, not as if I'm trying to, slow slide digs at them just to sort of, strengthen our bond and encouraging them to insult me as well. I would insult myself during these conversations, but if this is not the way in which they see friendship, then really I was just making them uncomfortable. That was a failure on my side. Where have you guys been that person? Where have you been the sort of person to gaslight someone? Because if you're truly honest, we've all been that person at one point in our life. But going back to the original point, if you're the sort of person who has this friend in your life or relationship, why didn't you put your foot down? Why did you continue being friends with them? See, you can cut that person out, but you're eventually going to get into another friendship or relationship where the same thing is going to repeat. You're trying to fix the symptom, you're not getting to the cause. The cause is the real problem. And unless you can get to that, you're not going to move forward. People pleasing. It's a big problem, people pleasing. It's something that we all have. We've got more examples. My third and favorite example is relationships, significant others. But you can also have this in friendships. Have you ever felt you're in a relationship where you're giving and giving and giving, whether that's physical gifts, your emotional time, you're giving into this relationship, but that person doesn't seem to appreciate it. Everything you do, they don't seem to remember. They only remember the bad things you've done to them. As a guy, you can relate to this. As a woman, you can probably even relate to this. This isn't a male or female problem. This is a human problem that we have. Where you've given absolutely everything to this relationship. You gave them your time, you gave them commitment, you gave them a second chance, you gave them forgiveness. You did the self-reflection, you looked at yourself, you saw where you could improve. And you thought that by doing that, eventually you were praying and hoping that this person would see the good in you and begin to reciprocate the effort that you're putting in. But it didn't happen, did it? And eventually this person that you're putting all this time into, emotionally, spending time with them, being by their side, they eventually just remove you from their life. That really leaves a bitter taste in our mouths because it makes us think, what's the point of going into another friendship like this or relationship? We're scarred, we're bitter, we're angry. All the emotions that wile up from that. And now every single time someone tries to get close to us, there's a war. For some of you, this happened in your childhood. Maybe it was a family member. For some of you, it's maybe a relationship, whether it's your first, second, third, fourth, whatever. Maybe it's a friendship, someone you've known your whole life. And this sort of thing eventually came crumbling down. You've never been quite the same, if you have to be honest with yourself. And you tried to fix the symptom. You thought, okay, the people around me are the problem. If I can just remove people completely from my life and stop them having access, that's going to solve this. I'm going to live a happier life. What's the point of living a life that's totally isolated? See, the world is run by people. We're social creatures, human beings. You need people in your life. You're trying to fix the symptom. The cause is you have a fundamental problem with creating boundaries. You may even have people-pleasing tendencies. I know I did. And I still do, to an extent. They still come out. A lot of mine stem from childhood. And if you're similar to me, then these are going to be a forever work in progress that you're working on. You're going to see them show up in your life. You need to start seeing them when they come out. Where are you allowing people to have too much access? And are they getting a little bit too comfortable where they're sort of violating your time? Calling you at unexpected times. Nagging you about never meeting them up. Now you see, when we go through these relationships where we give everything and then we're bitter in the end because it all came crumbling down. The worst part about it is we carry that energy into our next relationship, consciously or subconsciously. A lot of the times it's subconsciously. There's people who have genuine intentions, whether it's another significant other. They're trying to get to know us, but we have this wall. We don't allow them in. We don't allow them access to us. We don't allow them in emotionally. That one falls apart. And once again, we start to think, you know what? There's a pattern. Look, people can't be trusted. What's if the problem isn't people? See, in this world, you can only ever keep your side of the street clean. You can only focus on yourself, your personality, what you're doing. What other people are doing is always going to be out of your control. There's nothing you can do about that. With that being said, you need to start looking inside. Why is there a pattern of this happening in my life? See, when I was younger, it always used to baffle me. As a man, I have to approach a woman. You know, so if I'm not in a relationship, there's something like it's to do with my game. You know, as guys, we have this accountability. It's our game. Maybe it's the way we're dressing. It's the way we're speaking. We don't have enough confidence. We don't know the right things to say. There's something we can fix which can help us attract the other mate a little bit more. Always used to bizarre me when I would have female friends, or even till this day, sometimes it catches me, where they just can't get into a relationship. As a woman, you might be in a relationship and you have friends like this, where you're thinking, why can't this person sustain a relationship? Or maybe you are the person. I've been the person. To an extent, I probably still am the person. Where we keep thinking, why is it everything always goes wrong with me? Right? This is a big issue that we have in society today. And every time I used to see people like this, I used to think to myself, how do they go from one to another, to another, to another, to another, to another? I would show empathy. Maybe, you know what, maybe it's the people they're picking. But why? If you're constantly picking the wrong sorts of people, now we can't determine what someone's going to be like further down the road. But if there's a consistent theme in your life, I truly challenge you to actually start asking yourself some real questions. Is there something I'm doing to contribute to this result that I'm getting? See, when you stop looking at it as an insult and as an opportunity to actually change the people you're attracting into your life, that's when the door opens. And as you're doing this exercise, what I want you guys to do is I want you to start self-reflecting. Where have I been these people? See, the examples I give, it's very easy to point the finger and say, this person's like this. I haven't been like that. I've been betrayed, Tino. Where have you been like that? See, towards the end of my drinking days, I've told you guys in a previous video about my drinking problem. I'm going to be getting into it more as you go on the channel, but eventually my drinking took me to a place where I was living with a friend. You know, he had my back. He didn't know about this issue when I moved in with it. Eventually he started to see I have a little bit of a problem. Started off with me just doing it in the day, but eventually he would come home and he'd just see me drunk all the time. And each time he would say, sit down. It started off with him sitting down, just trying to talk to me like brother to brother. Hey man, I think there's something going on, Tino. You need to fix this. I didn't listen. I'd continue going out, getting more drunk. Coming back home, discarding everything that he's saying to me. And because he kept giving me opportunity after opportunity, I took him for granted. So it's easy for me to point the finger and see where this has happened in my life, where people have done it to me. But real identity change starts when you guys begin to see where you've done it to other people as well. Have you been the friend who calls up people and just always talks about your problem? Let me ask you a question. I want you to think about every conversation you've recently had with a friend, a family member. Who was the focus on, you or them? Have you been the person who insults people or maybe says something that makes them feel uncomfortable, and just because you've got tougher skin than them, rather than just apologizing and understanding that not everyone is like you maybe insult them even more? You're soft, you need to grow up, get over yourself. But how do you like it when people do that to you? It's not good, is it? Have you been the person where someone is given and given and given in the relationship? You haven't reciprocated any of that. As a woman, you might have a man in your life who would walk to the moon and back for you. But you've got these relationships with these guys who took your time for granted, yet you focus, everything is on them. You focus on the people who do not invest in you, and you're ignoring the people who love you. And every decision you make moving forward is based off of the people who wronged you rather than the people doing you right. It's almost like you've got a blindfold covering the people who are actually investing in you. If you're a man, be honest. You ever had it where a woman really likes you? Whether it's a friend, a female, or maybe even it's just a friendship with another guy. They're always there for you when you need them. They've got your back if you ever need money, if you ever need whatever. Time to speak, they're always there. You've shown appreciation to them. When's the last time you did that? See, a boundary is necessary to keep relationships healthy in all walks of life. And I want you guys to realize the symptom was never people. The cause was something internal. And you need to backtrack and start stemming where that came from. For me, like I said, it came from childhood. Mother working multiple jobs, never really having people around, feeling like the isolated kid, always feeling like the odd one out. See, when I didn't address those situations, they show up in my life later on down the line. What are the situations you went through in an earlier part of your life that are showing up now? What are the relationships that burnt you? That seem to be coming on repeat? See, this is why I talk about identity change, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm not God. I don't get to control how the world is, how people are. I can see human nature for what it is, but I can't change people fundamentally for who they are. Understand this. The symptom can never fix the cause. The cause is that you lack a boundary and you have people-pleasing tendencies. If you can get a hold of this and begin to improve your life will start to move in the right direction. But take this further. If you guys don't fix this issue you have, people-pleasing tendencies, this ability to not put a boundary, you have all these hopes and dreams of the significant other you want, the sort of relationship with your kids you want, all of this. But rather than thinking that this is just something that's going to come to you, I need you to understand that you have to become the sort of person that attracts that sort of life. Right? This isn't something you do, something you be, you have to become. The person who has a boundary is the person who gets a significant other who appreciates them and knows not to disrespect them because they're willing to walk away. The person who fails to put a boundary in place is the one with the significant other who walks all over them. The friends who don't respect him or her. The business relationships at work where no one in the office ever seems to give them opportunities, disregards their efforts and their contributions. You have to be a stronger person, a bigger person that starts with fixing the internal. So we're going to be getting into more subjects like this. This is just one to leave you guys' head spinning. I've got a newsletter, like I said. We're going to all sorts of subjects. We want to change the internal in order to change the external. We need to start diagnosing the cause and start fixing little symptoms. My name's Tino. The link is in the bio. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.